distant skies, firefight calls, the stakes are high. Turn the flame, heroes and spies, control fire, where strategy lies. Hear the tales, fierce and deep, victors roar, defeated weep. We blaze a way, we don't hold back, control fire, ready to attack.
Hello and welcome to Controlled Fire, your monthly musings on Mantic's Firefight. I'm Sam.
I'm Mike.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Ronnie.
So we get to do something a little special this month. We have with us the man, Ronnie Renton from Mantic, talking all things Firefight with us. So we should apologize because there may be some background noise. We are recording in the middle of Clash. So Clash of Kings has just concluded. Tomorrow is the main event, Firefight. So we've had our warm-up with Kings of War. We now get to jump into Firefight tomorrow. To start ourselves off, let's do our From the Forge. Mike, what's on your hobby table at the moment?
At the moment, we'd like to do a slow go for Kings of War. And I'm going to be doing Twilight Kin to add with my Night Stalkers together, so I'll be running that. Previously, I've just been doing some terrain, of course, for the Clash of Protocols tomorrow for this tournament here, so that's what I've been working on in the meantime.
Excellent. For myself, I've also got Kings of War on my table. You'll recall a few episodes ago I was talking about I have to redo some multi-basing for my Kings of War. That's now ballooned into a new Abyssal Dwarf army, so I am getting everything assembled for my Abyssal Dwarves. From the start of February, it's 500 points a month getting painted, so in 4 months I have a 2k point army for Kings of War. That's going to be my hobby table for the next 4.
So funny you should say the Abyssal Dwarves, because I realised I can use my Orcs in Abyssal Dwarves, and I've got Abyssal Dwarf models at home, 2-player starter, so I'm going to do them as well soon. But what I've just had on, I painted up 2 Nova Shocks to play tomorrow, and that was all I managed to do for Firefight because I was busy doing my Kings of War army for Clash, which was a 4-inch deep resin pour, bricks of resin that looked like Jello.
Impressive. Yes, you did.
Yeah, and Ronnie gave me a plushie Mind Screech because he thought that was pretty cool. So that's what
They
my hobby
are
is.
very, very cool. Go and check them out.
And Ronnie, have you been doing...
I have just finished a Northern Alliance Champions box. And I got all excited. Whenever I go for a walk, I pick some lichen, if I see it on the thingies, or just a little bit of material. So I've been waiting to use that. So I used that on it, and I was doing layer after layer of water effect. So I was trying to get them to look as if they were walking on ice. You know, like it was a frozen lake type thing with things buried in it. So I nearly pulled it off. My hobby skills aren't what they were 30 years ago, I think. But anyway, I did that, and I still keep looking at, seeing as we are in a firefight space, I'm halfway, 2/3 of the way through a Forge Father army, funnily enough. But it is the only other thing that is currently on my desk. So maybe this will inspire me to get off my arse and go and finish it off. So.
Brilliant. Well, we get a chance to chat Firefight in 2026 with Ronnie. So I guess our first question is, so through 2025, Firefight saw a sort of a steady growth all the way through the year. So we had, first of all, the Marauder Salvage Engineers come through in about February. Then we had the Asterian mini-release with a bunch of new Matsudan units. Then a Plague mini-release with some Crushers and Bruisers and the Monocycle Riders. And we had the alignment protocols, the full faction realignment across Firefight, and then a big splash release with Voltaic Surge and the Veerman. So through 2025, Firefight just had a big ballooning growth all the way through the year. What should we be expecting through 2026? Is it still going to be steered through the Vault and the Companion?
Yeah, so I think there's a chunk of that. Steady releases throughout, and I think it's a great way of supporting it. I think we'll come on to talk about the paper support, because I think that needs a little bit of work and a little bit of just clarity. But one of the things is I looked at the release year schedule, and the previous year, so 24 was it, we had Annihilation and the Sci-Fi Summer, which I think was fantastic and galvanised, and it was the start of our digital. We did that Deadzone MMF campaign to bring new people in. I just thought we needed to make sure we had some hard plastic this year. And I did this just before the criteria for the Rebels was hit. So they were just after the nick of time. So later on in the year, I think around September time, we're going to be doing hard plastic nameless. And we love those because they're going to be both in the Deadzone and the Firefight faction. So they can cover both. And we've got an interesting way. The way we've done the epic sprues means we can do multiple poses and everything else, and it's a perfect army. So we're going to do hard plastic in 2026 to maintain and build and continue to support Firefight.
That's so exciting.
I'm very excited. I love Nameless as a faction in Deadzone. I've been really keen on them in Firefight as well. Maybe I could do a 4-inch resin pour on them as well, put them underwater.
Different colour resin, totally unique idea.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. So I think we've got to, I love where the game is. I really do love Firefight as a game. I think it's the best sci-fi game.
Agreed.
I think particularly tagged by a country mile. And I'm just, my challenge, and I've said this is just finding time on the schedule at the moment to put something out that can change the dial. And the problem at the moment is the things that are moving the dial are Kings of War, which has just had a global new edition that's obviously hitting, and Halo, which is recruiting thousands and thousands of people into the kind of Mantic tent. Now, of course, they're all playing a game that we all know and love, which is Deadzone. They're learning cubes, they're learning Mantic games, they're learning D8s, and we all know that when you play Deadzone a few times, we then gently suggest that maybe a little bit of Firefight might be in order. So I do think over time, probably the best thing that will ever happen to Firefight and Deadzone is Halo. But I also understand that that's slightly frustrating for those that are already playing Firefight and Deadzone. They're on some toys. So lots more digital, lots more recruitment through trying to get people from my manufacturer to come across and try it. So giving the game away, the rule sets away, so that people can give it a run out. And then, of course, the tentpole in the middle of the year, late to Q3 will be the hard plastics.
The trajectory from Halo to Deadzone is great because there's also that trajectory from Deadzone to Firefight. So the long tail on that for us, I think, is more plays in Firefight, hopefully.
And when I started this company 17 years ago, I thought obviously by now the workshop would be finished and there'd all be Mantic. I'm not but I have realised that it just takes time. I mean, workshop didn't grow for 10, 15 years from 2003 to 2016 or whatever. They were kind of flat, and it was a smaller industry. That's 55 years old. And so I think we are doing a stunning job of continuing to support a number of game systems in a meaningful way. I think digital's unlocked a way to do that, and again with the paper we talk about that, so that these small pockets of communities can stay strong and keep building, because I think Mantic makes the best miniature games there is out on the world. By that I mean they are fun to play, they're easy to teach, they are challenging to master, but I've just stood here with 60 people for 2 days. They're playing a game that's 45 days old, and I don't think I heard a cross word. I didn't hear a dispute that needed to go to a judge's ruling. There was is that thing? Yeah, okay. A couple of clarifications because it's 45 days old, which is remarkable. And if we're doing that with our most complicated game, I'd say, then I think we can really build some fantastic games, and people will start coming over time as they see people enjoying themselves while playing and rolling dice. That's a community that I think a lot of people will want to come and join.
I'm glad you said community, because I do think as well, absolutely, we have the best games in Mantic, but it is also the communities that grow around them is part of the reason you never really hear a cross word. These are great gamers to play with.
And more power to that elbow. And I think we're finding that with the Halo group. They're coming in, and if they're looking to break it, well, you're going to have to get up pretty early and you're going to have to work pretty hard. We've had Deadzone, so when we launch a game that we call very simple with a world-class IP, I don't think there's many scenarios that are going to come up that haven't already come up in Deadzone. So we have an answer for them. We know about templates. We know about all those things. So, come at us. But we think we're pretty good on that. That's on a 3rd edition, by the way. And the 3rd edition wasn't quite right. From the 2nd, it was bloody spot on. I think 3rd polished it and refined it, but it was still based on that. And it's had thousands or tens of thousands of competitive games and games. So the rules committees that sit around and support it, love it, make it better. I think Halo is in a little bit of a kind of growth spurt. We have to start with the elite. We just launched the Zikali for Kings of War. You've got the mid troops, you've got your elites, heroes, war machines, and spam units, the chaff. Okay, and with Halo, we started with Spartans.
Yes,
mega elites. So we're now backfilling, and we're backfilling on the Banished. but we know where we're going because of the work that you guys have done and everyone's done by playing this game through time. So, we're continuing to welcome new people into our community, and I think those that stay are those that want to enjoy playing a game. I'd like to win, but I'd rather lose and enjoy myself than win at all costs and ruin the gaming experience for everyone. And I think that's the Mantic, deep down the Mantic ethos, whatever game you play.
The first Sam actually recruited me into Mantic by playing DreadBall.
Yes, we
And
love
we
DreadBall.
know that you've been dropping hints for a little while. We're still in the Mantic universe. Is there anything else you might want to put up
Well,
there?
yes, we can be coachable. So literally, please, if you're not signed up to the Mantic newsletter, go sign up to it. It's the place where we tell you the latest news and the first place, and we give away stuff. And I see it almost as a membership club, and I want to make it even more than that. I think at the moment sometimes we spend too much time just telling about stuff, and I want to involve events anyway. But one of the nice things about having this growth spurt from Halo and just being of a slightly bigger size and a bit more structured, we're able to go out and recruit the very, very, very best games designers to work with us. So Alessio's just done Kings of War with us, and we have, I'm just not quite able to say the name just yet, but if you hang around for a week or two and are on that newsletter, you'll find out it's very, very exciting. And he's doing a game for us called DreadBall All-Stars. It's not DreadBall, it's not 3rd edition DreadBall, it's DreadBall All-Stars. And it's where you take it's like the Indian Premier League where they go out and they get Shane Warne to come and play, and you get Alistair Cook, and you get Joe Root, and probably some Australian players as well. But if you're a dwarf, the Juggernaut team is going to sponsor you to come in. You're the best dwarf player, the best orc player, the best ogre player. You're going to play in the Juggernaut teams. If you're an Asterian or if you're a Dreadwan, you're going to play in the Jets. Mm-hmm. And so the corporations sponsor the team for an end of season finale. Now it pays homage to DreadBall, but they are set teams. Each player has real nuance, real character, backstories. Rob Berman's written loads of backstories on top of the IP that the guys, the game designers generated. We've got playing in different planets, which have different kind of settings. So the base game is your normal Neoridian pitch, but then we go on to low gravity. So suddenly the ball bounces twice. Yep. That will come with a whole new event deck. Mm-hmm. And whoever wins that, we're going to start getting into the legacy bit where you get a card that you keep in your deck for future games and future tournaments. Okay. So
legacy, nice.
Yeah, we're really starting to unlock some exciting stuff. We've been doing this for quite a long time, and I can go, look, I know the rules are going to work. We've had 3 playtest days for it. We've got best game designers. We've got people that know how to play it. That's a given. Right, here's some insanity from me. Let's do this. Let's go and do some legacy games. And because we're dealing with talented people, they can write. And they're going to start coming in the boxes. So I think it's going to be on Kickstarter middle of March, running through there in Adepticon, so we can tell people about it. But Noise is literally going to drop within weeks.
Awesome. So I guess the takeaway is sign up to the Mantic newsletter, and also while you're there, may as well sign up to the Kickstarter launch page. So you're notified
exactly.
on launch.
Yeah. There is. There's 1,500 people there. We had one shout out about 9 months ago, but it's going to start in the next week or so. We've just got through the year. Make sure this is done, Kings of War settled, and then off we go. So
no, it's been sitting in my Kickstarter launch box for a few months now. So
and we're going to start dropping them out because actually I think people like to know what's coming and plan ahead. Ghost in the Shell, the RPG is going to be coming further down the line, so that's another thing we're doing. So giving people notification gives us time to talk about it, and essentially we've got our core release schedule, which is Halo, Kings of War, Firefight and Deadzone, and refreshing some of the terrain crate ranges, which is geared at independent FLGSs, gaming stores. So people go in and pick their race releases up, and then 1 or 2 or 3 Kickstarters, but they're very different. DreadBall is our own IP. It's a game we've been meaning to do for ages. We want to tool the whole thing like we did with Epic. It's for our fans and people that might like Blood Bowl for obvious reasons. That was a hint. So then we've got Ghost in the Shell. This is a project that Alessio has loved for ages. I've loved it. It's a great IP. That's a role-play game, so that's going to appeal to the role players, and they're going to start saying, what's Mantic doing? And then later in the year, we've got a license that's not yet announced, but it's in the veins of Worms, which is very much a mass. It's a computer game license. It's a light board game, like our Assassin's Creed was last year. So we're building out some really cool IPs. You know, I go into the licensing meetings and I say, if it's not got hand grenades and tanks and aliens and orcs and goblins, then we're probably not interested. But if it's got guns, explosions, bows and arrows, crossbows, and some kind of fantasy or sci-fi themed creature, then it's probably something we're very interested in. So that's where we're kind of building out that.
Excellent, because the sort of pre-constructed teams very much has that sort of Kings of War champions feel, whereas you pick up a box and you've got this and this is what you're playing with. And I guess in some ways that there's a strong chance that'll appeal more to the board gamer crowd as well, where you actually just want to pick up and play.
And actually, I think there is something about army building, but it doesn't take you. Firstly, it doesn't take you much. We've got Deadzone that does that. We've got Firefight that does that. We've got Epic that does that. We've got Kings of War that does that. If you're that level of gamer, we've got plenty of stuff for you. We've got you covered. And what we're struggling with, or what we need to be doing and concentrating on, is recruitment. And actually, what people want is simplicity. Later, add me the complexity, but let me start with something clean and neat.
Yep.
And so, even Deadzone is already army picking. Now, actually, they pick up a big box and get started. There's enough to get you going, but you've already got army selection in there. So I think DreadBall and Champions is absolutely pick up this box. Everything you need to play is in there.
I was going to say, and recently, of course, in Deadzone, we've seen the preset strike teams coming through to the vault, and again, that is that you print this. Here is your preset roster. You're ready to play.
In truth, that was probably the tipping point for me, because here's a very advanced game with an advanced group of players, experienced group of players, and I just went, "This is dead easy." Click, and you think, actually, I would just do that. Life is too short to be going, I'm going to go and get one of those, I'm going to print this, I'm going to put that in my printing bed, and you've got to punch it up and then find it. We said, should we just do that for you? And people just went, yeah.
You're listening, Luke? You don't have to have 200 lists in your companion?
Some people do. What I'm saying is, there's times when you go, I've been meaning to run a little goblin, I'm just going to click, come on. I can do it. And I think that's a joy. It's simplifying. It's not the only way. You still have all the Deadzone factions. You still have the Firefight factions. But sometimes I think, and we're here. I think we shipped the Zicali in mid-December. And the people that had them had that big bundle, so they went last because they had everything in it. We're casting as we were going, and every day new cast would come down. The final day we could ship the last ones out. There's 2 painted Zicali armies here, and they're absolutely gorgeous.
They were beautiful.
Yeah. One of the things, both won prizes. How the heck did they turn around, a Zicali army in 30, 28, 26 days? Crumbs. So someone that wants to print a Deadzone faction and play it in 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
Take away all that complexity, just download, print and play.
Printed speed paints on the table in a couple of days.
Yeah, and you can have a tournament on a weekend. You say, right, we're all playing Sunday, we're going to play 4 games. You turn up with a new faction. It's great fun for everybody. You're learning to play, they're playing against something new. And we've taken away 2 of the steps. Finding all the minis and putting an army list together. Done it for you, it's great fun. So if we can enjoy that, how much more appealing might it be to someone that doesn't know DreadBall, doesn't know Kings of War, but is Kings of War curious, or DreadBall curious, to say, there you go, take that, learn it. Yep. Which one do you like? Fast and quick, big and crunchy? Yep. Here's your different thematics, pick your trope. Oh, I love the look at that one. There we go, let's go. Okay. And then the first time you play, you'll learn movement and bashing into things. The second time, okay, well, I'm getting the hang of this. Now let me start looking at these skills. Let me start looking at the coaching cards. Let me start adding those layers onto it. And we know there's plenty of play in that game, but we can start by removing some of the complexities and impediments.
So you were just talking before about hard plastic nameless.
Yeah.
There's a 2-part question to this. So obviously we had the Wolverine come out, and it's now becoming more and more difficult to get a hold of a Wolverine. I don't think you guys sell it through your web store anymore, and most of the other stock is hard to get. But there's a lot of space, a lot of great artwork that Mantic has for vehicles and tanks and firefight.
Yep.
Can we expect anything on the future horizon in that regard?
Yeah, so interestingly, now, the first thing, and I said this, I kind of surprised myself when I was doing it, but sometimes we look at what's happening to Kings of War sales, And actually, that's one of those metrics globally. And of course, last year when the new edition comes out, everyone goes, "I'm not starting a new army. I want to see what the army looks like before I dive in." Great. And of course, then the edition comes out, and it flies on from there. And last year, people playing in our Epic, in our Warpath universe, was the highest it's ever been. And that's because we sent out, in Aussie dollar terms, like $1.2 million worth of Epic Warpath miniatures.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, people who just love that kind of scale are going, look at my Forge Fathers. And I don't know if you've been on Epic Fanatics, maybe Warpath Fanatics, but boy, oh boy, is there some fantastic painters on there. There's people with huge armies, and they're suddenly, again, like Halo, coming into the House of Mantic. I think they're at the other end. These are coming in because they're 4 figures and it's Halo, and these are coming in because it's 4,000 figures. But there's some cracking sprues. It's a wonderful game. It's great fun. So they're all of a sudden, what other scale? Okay, I'll go to Deadzone. I'll do that. I like Forge Fathers and names in Deadzone. And the second thing it did for us is we did all those tanks we've been talking about. Because if you need an Epic
Lancers, because the Lancers have been in since
day one.
Warpath first did.
So thirdly, we had to just go, right, let's go and actually draw them, let's sculpt them. So we actually created an absolute ton of tank IP. And as we get bigger and bolder, it may well be that we go, look, do we want to make them in plastic, or are these going to be something we print? And I can't answer that question. We don't have an answer right now. But what we are starting to do is go, what did Epic give us? Hundreds of tanks, lots of new players. Well, how about if you fancy a bit? So then we put some hard plastic on this thingy, I know a lot of people go, yeah, I'll do a 20. When we're in a hobby, we just, I'll have some of that. I'll do a Maison Labs army. I'll do a Nameless army. Yeah, they look pretty cool, actually. I like painting soldiers. I like buying soldiers, I like gluing them together and sticking them on a game. So just because you've done Epic doesn't mean you're not going to not do Firefight. Mm-hmm. So by bringing it up and giving it some support, so there's a ton of IP, and I think we're going to look at how do we do it. And we've got a few options, which I think.
The interesting thing I think about the Warpath Universe models is that you've copped a lot of a lot of bullets for the elves and in Kings of War and a few of the older ranges.
It was 17 years ago, so I think I can take it on the.
I think you passed that. Yeah. But I don't think that I don't feel like the Warpath Universe stuff has the same sort of general stigma to it.
The ranges are all beautiful, and they're all hard plastic cores for everything.
But even like the resin models that are like the Deadzone ones have so much character in them. Like the Marauders from Deadzone, I love having those in my Firefight army because they've got so much character to them. And then the ones that probably were left a little bit behind, the Asterians, they've been replaced. So there's new sculpts for those.
Well, and also we did that Restic, which was one of those things with Deadzone 1. There was 2 things wrong. The rules weren't quite slick enough. And that was because we were still emerging. And the second thing was, that Restic material, which is great for kind of big clunky things, but it wasn't good enough to be the fine detail that you need on elite troops. And I remember gluing the Rebs together and weeping. This isn't what we're about. The hobby experience has to be a joy. When we came back to it and did Firefight the first time, we didn't get the rules right, but I think we got the plastics absolutely spot on. And I think they still stand up to pretty robust scrutiny. I think the Epic stuff we launched last year was incredible. I don't think there's any better that scale plastics out there. I'll put them up against anything, and I'd always get my games up against anything, but I think I'd put that complete package up against any game in the world.
You mentioned, of course, the 2024 summer campaign. Are we expecting another one of those?
Around September. Yeah, we'll do the same thing. So it's going to be a whole tentpole. We've been talking of making sure that we have lots more updates for the game, and that's largely me. And I think when we communicated as moving digital, it was not to kind of demean it; it was quite to free it up. But I don't think we've quite got that message out. So very much our idea is let's keep supporting it. Let's keep unlocking the content so the game stays fresh. Because the challenge was for me to get it on the release schedule and do a book, which is all about the layout and then shipping it, and it's just not in the place where a retail store is going to find it beneficial at the moment. So what I said was let's just start putting that content out through the companion and making sure that whatever the rules committee wants to do can do it. Now in a structured way, But certainly what we'll be doing is building up throughout the year, recruitment in the early part towards that September. And the reason that I put it on the release schedule is, everybody in our company looks to the release schedule as the metronome. And what I say to them is, if there's a Halo release, we're talking about Halo. Go and find Halo stories, talk about Halo events, talk about Halo organised play, talk about what's going on there. If it's a Kings of War release, let's talk about Kings of War. Let's talk about the events that are going on. Let's look at lunatics that have poured their army with to resin blocks. Let's go and show off that fantastic hobby that's going on out there. And therefore, I put the Firefight kit on because I was saying, this time of the year, I want us all to talk about Firefight and Deadzone. And let's go. And we picked that because Rebs is a lot harder to do as a Firefight army than it is. I think it's the epitome of a Deadzone faction.
Yes.
And almost wrong as a Firefight army. It can be done, but it's going to have to be a very clever way. And at the moment, I haven't got that way. So let's do it first. It might be that they're the lead army in Deadzone when we come back and redo Deadzone, because that would be where they live, and that's where they kind of Rebs are most get in, get out, or get dead.
That warms my heart to hear you say that, because Rebs were my first ever Deadzone force, right back in First Dead, so I have such a soft spot for them, and of course I would love to see them in Firefight.
I think we all do, and we want to bring them back, but they are the hardest Firefight army. I think they are the perfect Deadzone.
Yes.
Because the Deadzone's called. The Council of Seven close it off, and everyone else goes, cool, let's go. And the first people in there are going to be the Rebs, grabbing hold of equipment, grabbing hold of tech. The Marauders are in there, mercenaries, come on, let's go and do whatever we've been hired to do. The Enforcers are right, what's the actual threat, let's take care of it.
Yep.
The GCPS will be stuck on the planet going, God damn it, what's happening here? So, there's always this reason, but the Rebs almost has the most interesting role to play in that. They're asset short. Stick them on a wall, on a battlefield with tanks and with other things. It's a stretch of that IP. It's a stretch of that narrative. But so September we will definitely have activities, all things around it, events. I think you guys are running. There's going to be, anyone's going to run events, Matt G, and let's get it all around there. So I'm calling it early, calling it loud. There's going to be a hard plastic set. We can't do any more in terms of that being the high point. We'll have some big updates and some big upgrades then, but we don't need to wait. Let's all work together and get some more content out and keep it fresh and developing for those that love it, because it's definitely something that we will come back to in a big, big way over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We'll keep maintaining it and building it.
Brilliant. Well, I hope we've enjoyed the chance to effectively have a whole episode of Overwatch. This is what Firefight is going to look through 2026. Thank you very much to Ronnie for taking the time to sit down with us and map out exactly what we'd be looking to see in 2026 for Firefight.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's lovely to talk about it. It sometimes feel like Firefight Deadzone feels people think it's our forgotten stepchild. It really isn't. But we needed to get Halo to get the recruitment going, to move the dial, to unlock where we have the ambitions to take Firefight and to take Deadzone. Because then the beautiful IPs, what a computer game Deadzone would make, eh? Whoa, what about that one day? So that's my ambition. That's the stars I'm shooting for. Good pun there, eh? So look, absolutely, we are here, and it's a joy just to come in and talk just specifically and in a detailed way about that.
Brilliant.
So, until next time, keep preparing your Firefight force for the Nameless to arrive. Keep rolling lots of 8s and unleash controlled fire.
Hear the tales, fierce and deep. Victors roar defeat.